we were looking at the change here from a move-on scenario on from Nova and BSE. From both looking at the same caliber as they can offer into the draft, let's see how the priorities on this first game. Banning out the Musashi, banning out the Mai Shernui, Dharma, Yuan and Arlie. So far, it has been like the opposite situation from the first series of the day.
Yep, and Nova expect them to really pick up this lady soon, which is why they picked up the lane as well. And you know what? BSC, BlackShrew, they say, okay, we concur, we want to see how strong your lane is. We will pick a lady soon, even though we have seen the games that other teams have played.
Yeah, I think this is just comfort, and again, it's just not that like it could be an understatement because we've seen BSE perform and they've performed really well and handle these meta picks as we call it. The Lady Jean and the ladies, and two of the ladies both strong in the lineup, amping it with the Dolia. This is like a greater amount of damage that Team Noah needs to survive. Gun and Moan, the third pick, yes, but the Elaine is a better counter on how Lady Sun could be in a vulnerable spot coming into the team fights.
I love this ban onto Prince of Lanling. Having played Gun and Mo so much, as well as giving a try onto Long a couple of times. Yeah. I'm not the best, but I know a Lanling destroys you in the mid game.
Yeah, and with that ban, I think Nova has eyes on a possible counter into this draft. That's why they banned Liang too. What's the front line going to be in the defense here? Because they know Liang in such crowd control situations, they know how to hold everybody down. Adding out with the Monkey and as well as the Diadia. Both taken out frontline initiators with full crowd control team buff support. Okay, bring out your tanks here. Nova and BSE can still weigh in getting that Zhang Fei. Not unless for BSE he's gonna go X in one basket here, but I think Nova would.
Yeah, at this point, both teams have one last marker to complete, which is who buys you the time and space. So we can be expecting Kaisers, we can be expecting Tuns, right? Menki has been banned out for the good reason that they need a frontliner. They need someone to be able to catch them off guard as well.
Yeah, one thing I'm not a huge fan of the BSC draft. I mean, they picked the Lady Soon and the Lady John into the Elaine. Elaine is like the perfect counter of just getting onto that backline. You were talking about how they need that meat shield, those tanks in front. This is a high priority, something that they need to pick in that second phase of the draft.
This Musashi pick is going to be a huge problem for the side of BSE as well, because now you have double jumps, you have the Elaine rushing to your backlines, and then you have the Musashi pushing you even further to try and protect either your mid laner, your support, or your farm lane. In the meantime, Lung and Gun and Mo will have the time of their lives just aiming and trying their best to snipe you down.
Yeah, this is like going back to the Holler story of the relationship. If he goes back and you want to still keep pushing him out of distance, how can you reach him, right? It's just it's just the Guan Yu being the great answer and the Dune as well. I saw your reaction. This is a great way to seal the frontline engage as Nova too.
Yep. So I think they're trying to beat out the Guan Yu movement, right? So at this point, whenever he goes for the Razor Cavalry, any stuns, any slows will kind of slow him down, make him unable to reach the full potential in team fights, especially with that heroic charge, where the extra distancing, the pushing back into the towers and stuff like that. And if they waste the skills to try and control Guan Yu, that opens up the doors for the Lady Sun and the Lady Chen to just go crazy. And don't forget to see Dun just go in.
Yeah, and I believe the Guan Yu has been a great addition to the meta here, moving towards the knockout stage, mainly on the displacement. Oh yeah, eyes on Zhang Fei. Finally, he shows up here for Nova Esports, and it's a straightforward counter for the front line because they know, as you've mentioned, Dune can come from the early beat from the front, even from the back, but Guan Yu could still be a great displacement hero to go and just protect Lady Sun from the possible counters of the Elaine Gun as well. So let's see how the execution will go from these two.
Yep, so a big start to a big match, a big series as well. Finally, these two giants meet, and we want to see which one rises and which one falls.
Oh, very spicy statements here. Like, we are expecting this series to go the distance, but we will know who will have the upper hand in taking this first game away.
Alright, so the first point we need to consider is, are there any invades coming out? At the same time, it looks like Xiang is here to check out the information, right? Which buff you start with, and to see which rotation you will end up with as well.
Yeah, I think that is just the rotation that we will have in check between BSE and Nova. We've seen teams focus onto the farm lane. We see one from the clash lane, yes, but eyeing on the objectives heading in on top. I think this is one thing they want to slow down, right? The Guan Yu has been a great addition to every team fights, and they don't want that to happen. Good thing that the Musashi here has been really open for Nova to slowly be utilized for the reach on the lineup of BSE.
Yeah, so a faster pacing coming out from Xiang here, just to make sure that he gets the first few advantages in the first few minutes as well. And with that heroic charge, gets that reverse sprite.
Yeah. I think that's the neutral objectives moving forward, right? We see the rotation slowly building onto the focus onto the farm lane. Muchi on the Luong. Good thing Wave Pit is not letting go of the vision just yet because he kind of felt somebody was completely moving in that bush, and that kind of situation he needs to protect. Just as this, they felt through it, and yep. The farm lane is not going to engage just yet.
Yep, so right now, just poking and prodding, right? They want to be able to see where is this opening that either team will show. And Musang King going to help out in the mid. This is to make sure they have the faster rotations. But right away, Zhe gets spotted out by Weipit. He knows that there are other people from Nova within the vicinity as well.
Yeah, I think the vicinity here is a very good way to see this team fight, right? Weipit and Muchi. The one thing that this lineup stands for in the early game is the ultimate of the outburst. Zone out, you have lockdown and slow as well. You've mentioned about slow, like a complete crowd control mixture of Nova that can do against BSE. So I think that now they're just being careful and just be wary of how the rotation will come from the mid as well.
Yep, there's one marker for both Nova and BSE, which is they don't take fights that don't work out for them. So we can definitely expect very clean rotations, and they will not pull the trigger unless they know they can hit the target.
Ooh, I think they're now like seeing a firing range, right? Like, this is like a practice on how they want to address like the damage, because both of them has lineups that really work on momentum. It's all about stepping up or getting that first blood, either from Junior or for Muchi. But so far, as Kin mentioned, we would need to see how their range is going to be, how their preparation is going to address situation.
Yeah, look at how Nova Esports are funneling all the farm to CY. He's the man of the match in terms of just like who to look out for, right? Him on the Musashi is definitely something that you need to be super careful about. And again, just funneling that farm to him.
Yeah, but it's also to catch up with Musanji because he had a EXP advantage altogether. And right now, I think we might have to wait for a little bit more before the actual fight starts, because either way, I don't think they want to overcommit.
Yeah, I think that's the one word, right? We planned it simple. Like, these two lineups has a very great crowd control and damage potential into the later stage of the game, and either this could happen early depending on who strikes first. But so far, discipline and changes on this rotation we're seeing from BSE and Nova is working. Okay, focus on the top lane. Suwon not committing just yet. Meanwhile,
yeah, first rotation is already coming in. CY, I think at this point, right, they really need to make sure that they can find the gaps, because as it stands now, it's not the biggest of differences, but the gold and EXP is slightly in favor of BSE. And the most concerning part for me is that Musang King is still holding on to this lead.
Yeah, you know that these teams have done a ton of research. I mean, they've played against each other quite a bit in the past, right, in terms of the old Malaysia qualifiers, the S2, the qualifiers as well. So they kind of have tendencies for each other. There's a lot of video on both of these teams, so they have a familiarity.
Yeah, now this is the first challenge of the day for both teams, as it looks like Zhe might find himself out of position.
Don't be afraid. Speaking of position, though, they're really pulling in the Tyrant, but the position of Suwon, I think this is very important. Oh, he found him. And they know, okay, countering out the possible backline. Good thing Xiang was there.
Yep, they won't overcommit, right? Xiang at this point, he needs to be able to find the wraparound. And right now, it is an important marker that they try and go for it.
Shell Wendy, the flash away, keeping him alive. Xiang tried to go for it, but Weipit actually takes the crucial kill stuff. Gets it with the smite.
Okay, they take one back, and Nova definitely now in the control, not exactly in the driver's seat just yet, but this is a good start, right? Muchi gets that T1 on the bot. This is going to assist them quite a bit.
I mean, not only was there the steal there, but they also, ensure that they secured the blue forward CY, but the entire time, Muchi was putting pressure on that bottom T1, took it out, making use of that space. Death at Sunset in the top lane, they do have him knocked up, and there's your first blood, and Nova Esports are coming out swinging.
Yeah, that's the meaning of this lineup, really working with wonders, getting that crucial initiation handled by Waypit really is a starter on how they want to see BSE's counterattack. They know the front line here will be in a challenge depending on how Musang King or Siang in a great position. They would be the first one here to displace everybody, but so far Zay here is not yet becoming a great advantage tool just yet because the items that we are waiting for BSE is not yet to show.
Yep, all of the work in the first 5 minutes gone. It is now in the pockets of Nova, and they take another T1 on the top. So right now they have a little bit more vision and more pacing control on the side of Nova.
Yep, and this is like the one thing that we want to see here. Like, how will they counter this out? Like, the Ganano has a great amount of high and field. They have the Zhangfei as well. So, zoning and where Waypit is coming in the right positions here, BSE, one thing they needed to look after is the angles on where is the outburst will come from. Look at that, Waypit, great position as well.
Yep, and right now it's teetering on the edge, right? We already have the Blood Rage coming out for the Musashi on CY, so that's a very early start into damage and health as well. So this is going to be a marker, important marker for the team fights to make sure that as long as CY gets the appropriate opening, Muchi as well as Wendy will have free roam and free reign to get the fights in their favor.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing, right? That this is like the problem of BSE right now. How can they roam around the map? The controls we're seeing from Wendy, okay, receiving some of the pokes.
Ray Juan gets the knockout with the meteor kill, but he dashes back to safety. It was all about the blue buff, and I think Musang King got it in the end.
Okay, moving back to that point, kid. Like, how will they roam around? The map is just so big. How they want to see this against Nova, they have getting control over the objective. They got the first Overlord, and they haven't managed to take one turn away. So the problem here is no one else can confront this yet, but Waypit just maintaining that position in the left side of this river. It is like a death zone for this one.
Unbridled Outburst is going to be cutting off the angle of retreat. They do some flaming palms, but it looks like they want to go. Musang King in the heart of the enemy team. Muchi actually flashes away. Zhuan continuing to stick around. Xiang thought about going in. Couple blades just clearing the wave.
Yep, see how Xiang is kind of muted in this fight, right? He's unable to find any opening, especially when they're fighting in this mid lane. There is not enough space for him to traverse. They need to take a T1 somewhere. If not, he's going to be very limited in his resources to be able to do that catch from the back.
I know what I think. One thing I know is that's a very good point to observe because they have no ways to.
Oh, he unruly blade. They found Wendy. Oh, the flash away. He's not able to get away from Musang King, who does get him picked off. He's got the wind slash, but he misses. Xiang is going to be killed in return. They want to continue to go. Zhuan thought about going in, but it looks like he's going to back off. The Leaping Savior will keep everyone shielded.
That was a great initiation from Sion. That was a great move from the motorcycle, though. It was a great way to wrap around that protection that they were hiding.
They found Waypit. That's the nice target. The unruly blade in, but the infinite fastness. He gets back to safety. BSC finding a couple kills.
Yeah, but this is just one part of the fight, right? Because at this point, 2,000 gold lead.
Oh, unruly blade. They want to continue on. The Death at Sunset right onto Jay. Zhuan is going to back off here. They're just trying to fight this 3 versus 5, but the rolling rate forward. Oh, Zhuan gets away.
They need to do this because now there's the second part of the fight, right? Every time Infinite Vastness is used, you know that you have conquered the first part of the fight, then you need to finish the job by killing off this dragon as well.
I think that's the objective, right? Like, take the dragons with you, take the tyrant with you, but so far it's just the Porsche that BSE is really eyeing for because they can't really open up the map just yet. Getting the advantage of taking down the first T1 in mid would really set up the pace here on how they want to counter the objectives too. Looking back on how the progress is going from these two farm laners ahead by 10, but look at the Master Sword and Axe of Torment here for Lady Sun. Slowly it would take an amount of damage, but the Eternity Blade, we're still in par with the damage here, but one thing also to note is the defense here that's slowly building up by Nova. They need to be careful on how or where is Cian is going.
I mean, BSC getting a couple kills. They got the mid T1, they've got the Tyrants, but they're actually still behind Nova Esports, who have done a good job of cementing that lead, kind of putting themselves in. But now, not to say that Nova Esports are out of the deep waters at this point, but they're still playing very well at this stage.
Yeah, right now it's just map control in favor of Nova, and the way that Nova is playing, they're threatening them because they want to make sure that they're in a position to be able to take a fight at any time. And based on the war of attrition, Nova wins almost every single time for now.
Yeah, I think the moment yet is not yet safe for Nova to just keep on pushing, because this kind of lead can slowly be turned around by BSC in one simple mistake. So if they're looking for a way to have defensive items and also damage for Junior at the right time, probably in 12 minutes, that could be an advantage. We now see Siang getting busy on the bottom and trying to control the waves too.
Yep, Shadow takes over the Knight. It is going to be the Shadow versions of the Overlords as well as the Tyrant. And C1 wants to get things started to make sure that they're put in a stressful position.
Oh, nice win slash Way Pit taking a decent amount. He's going to back off, but this is a bit of an opening for that Shadow Tyrant here.
Yeah, that was a good peel from Musang King with the knockup too. They really pushed Nova out of that distance.
Yeah, and looks like the Tyrant is going to be whittled down by BSC. They're trying to just kind of, you know, poke and prod here. They're thinking about going in. CY is looking to go, but the Unbridled Outburst pushing him away. Musang King still up in front. The Tyrant is still alive, but CY going in with a duel of the death takes him out. Waypit with a double kill, and they're starting to climb in. They're chasing after them. Juan is just going to farm instead, but they've gotten what they wanted. Nova Esports definitely come out the victors.
Yeah. CY is doing so well. He caught 3 people with the duel to the death, and that was a big change in the fight as well, right? So Nova taking control, now extending, in fact, doubling their lead 6,000, 3 times more than what they had at the start.
I want to commend how Suwon was the one harassing and bullying out JR in distance in that pit. No one can come close. No wonder they're
with the
pushing.
O, just trying to slow it down, but he gets flaming Paul. He gets destroyed. I guess he's just trying to slow it down. That's one way of doing it. Well, you got 30 seconds on your death timer.
He buys some time for the team, and they do recover, but once again, Nova this time firmly in the driver's seat. They have about 40 seconds on that Primal Bond, and you can be sure, guaranteed, Nova will start working on this Overlord when the next opportunity opens.
Yeah, we kind of see the lineup of a defense struggle from BSE. They know that Ze is not really in the right position to defend, but one thing also that JR struggled to be in that team fight is to be close where Musang King or Zihong is going. Literally, on this replay, we see them take down this T3 down bottom, all because of the distance that Suwon created against Junior. It was so hard. The zone out and the bully from that situation is getting problematic for BSE. No one can protect Junior if Suwon does it again.
Okay, of course, with that being said, he did die, right, for that defense. And regardless of whether it was a death, he saved the game, because that would have been the end. Nova has a lot of damage coming out, especially from Muki as well.
I think now, by just getting Shadow Overlord here by Nova, one thing is missing here is wave clear. They're trying to equalize it from the top, continuing the pressure down bottom, so the counter pressure as well. No wonder Suwon's going to be the one to find avenues here, but this is just a protection that BSE needs to create against Nova Esports. Looking at the items, we have the Long Night Guardian and also the Ominous Premonition being pressured for Dun. So frontline, yes, he can soak up damage, but for the magic damage as well, we have the Splendor for Zihong. Probably expecting he could be the one to go down first, but that kind of play can be existent in case Nova wants to take him down first.
Okay, so big damage already. This is a T3 on the top. Should be taken very quickly with ease from the side of Nova. Now, Muji is already doing so much work for the team, but here comes the next problem, right? Here is the Overlord, Shadow Overlord, marching and flying down on the top lane. Nova gets more time to really just take away so many additional resources from the jungle as well.
Speaking of resources, now Dragon's pushing in and has the
Oh, they're going to go. The Death and Sunset connecting on a 4 in the back line. He might have gone a little too far, but that's just creating space for them to chip out this mid T3. It looks like they're going to take it down. Juan is getting pinball back and forth. He will sacrifice himself for this, but he somehow... Okay, he does die. Muji does take the mid T3, but Jiong does end up killing Juan on that one. They're sticking around Nova Esports. They do have the Vanguards. They've no minions anymore. It looks like Nova Esports are kind of sticking around. They're putting a little bit of pressure up and forward. They're going to eat an ultimate shell on their way out.
They might not want to continue this, right? End of the day, yes, Muji is healthy, but I don't think it's a risk that is necessary for the side of Nova. They have a lead now that's 8,000 ahead of the side of BSC, and all they have to do is wait another 15 seconds before the next Tyrant comes up.
Yeah, going back on this replay, Suwon made a great initiation, right? But Siang really had a better catch. This was a great avenue for the Outburst to be in the right moment. That team, BSC, would need to fall back because Nova was really trying hard to push it to a closer situation to take that base away. But this really bought them time. Tyrant is now open, damage buff is going to be taken soon, but BSC on the other hand, they have more problems here in clearing the waves once one is left open.
He's really smart in the positioning, and at the day, they might feel like, hey, we want to bait BSC into a fight, we can take anyone on at this point. And Nova, right now, they are definitely very much in control. BSC, I'm not sure what they need to do now because I don't think they can catch anyone out from the side of Nova.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard, man. The way you put that question, who do you catch? The Musashi, the late? It's hard. And that's why they're really working the best way possible to bait out BSE, even in their own base. Waves pushing in. A fight's about to happen here.
It looks like it's going to happen, but Jay takes a lot of damage. He's going to back in the fountain. Waypit's still up in front. The Wind Slash connecting on Muchi. The Umbrella Outburst. Musan King is a little bit low. He needs to be careful. He wants to go in, though. He's looking to fight, but he gets blown up. Muchi has the damage. Waypit is taking a ton of damage, but they go for the base, and Nova Esports will take game one.
Very clean cut movement from the side of Nova, and they take the first step forward. So they rise a little bit higher, and right now, can BSE recover?
Yeah, that's the main question, right? We were trying to figure out how will they reach the lineup of Nova Esports heading into play in the later stage of the game. Yes, Dolly has been there, but so far the one thing that they need to address is